football. We got JR in the house, taking some time out of his schedule to come join us for a special episode previewing the game. JR, it's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me here, guys. I'm having a good time. I think you guys are probably having a good time too. Michigan State's about to lose in basketball, so it's feeling good for you guys tonight, I'm sure.
Hey, fuck those guys. That's absolutely
true. It's been a hell of a few days, JR. We'll take some more good news.
I figured you'd like that, TJ.
So JR, this has obviously been an interesting season, right? For all involved. I don't think, obviously, I think Ohio State is about maybe where we thought that they'd be in terms of, one loss on the record. I was thinking preseason 0-1 losses. And but the Michigan side, not quite what I was predicting. I had Michigan at 10-2. Then reality sunk in a little bit. But you got to throw the whole book out with this game, right? You never know what happens. And obviously Ohio State, significant favorite, 20.5 point favorite in Columbus, big noon kickoff. JR, first thought about this matchup, what it means to you, what it means to Ohio State.
I wish it meant no more noon games because we've played 5 in a row at this point. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like help me out here. Let me watch something when it's dark outside and not when it's light outside. It does help that the skies are gray in November during midday, so it's not.
Jared, that's like blasphemy though. So I want a night game too. I think it'd be epic, but like there's so many people. I don't know how the Ohio State fan base is, but on the Michigan side, oh, it's tradition, JR. You can't move it from noon. Like, how do you feel about that? Is that a strong opinion on the Ohio State side, or?
It is. I personally would be okay with 3:30. It was played at 3:30 before, and in fact, the tradition wasn't even noon. Going back to way back when, it was like 1 or 1:30 or something like that. So, I always like when it was, I always like games that kind of start when it's light outside and then get darker. But that's just me. I know there's a lot of people.
I agree.
The tradition of noon, but anyway, I mean this game, guys, it's everything for the season, right? I mean, you can have an undefeated season, but you lose this game and people are calling for the coach's job. It doesn't matter which side it is. It doesn't matter what's going on. Like, if you lose this game, like it's your career, it's your legacy, no matter what school you're at. So, I mean, coming down to it, you want to beat, for you guys, the guys down south, for us, the guys up north, and just take them down. It's when I live back in Ohio, I don't quite live it as much as I used to now that I live in Indiana, but still a little bit to a certain extent. When I lived back in Ohio, it was the defining game for if you were allowed to wear your colors for a week or not. Like if you wore your colors the next week, you were going to get ridiculed. You were going to have people talking about your team and how much they stunk and yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like this game means a lot to a lot of different people. And I've discovered throughout the years, it kind of means something a little bit different for everybody, but everybody wants to win it.
Absolutely. TJ, what say you on the Michigan perspective?
Yeah, I have an interesting perspective, and I know our boy Garrison's in the chat. We were going at it earlier today. My opinion on what this game is, I mean, obviously, look, this is the game. It's the greatest rivalry in sports, period. We know this. And it does matter, okay? Like, we have, in Schembecker Hall, it says, what are you doing to beat Ohio State today? We have a drill literally called the Ohio State drill. Beat Ohio drill. The beat Ohio drill, right? There's no doubt about it. But I think, and maybe I'm a minority here, in terms of my perspective, but I feel the fan base, week 2 was a reality check for our fan base against Texas. And then we realized where the team was. And I just feel heading into this game, there is a little less juice because our fan base is we know it's a down year. We know that the team, it's a rebuild year. We know that they're getting their stuff together. So it doesn't, and we're coming off of a natty and we just got the Bryce Underwood news. We have so much hope for the future. It doesn't take away from the game because, like, I think when me and Garrison were going at it earlier, he kind of felt I was saying that. It's just there's so much good. This game isn't gonna kill me. Like, I'm not gonna be upset about the outcome. Now, granted, I want to win, but I don't need to win. And I know there's probably some Buckeyes who are like, what? Do you feel, JR, you need to see, here's the thing though. And I had a post on my social media about this. When you haven't had water in 3 years, a drop of water is everything. And this win, this Saturday for them is everything. And I just feel like our fan base isn't quite there this year. But it doesn't take away from the game. It's still the game. But I don't know. For me personally, John,
Yeah.
there's so much good stuff going on right now. I'm just here to observe it, man. I'm here to let it ride, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, look, I think Michigan's playing with house money, right? Michigan's won the last 3 years, won a national championship, and just secured the #1 recruit in the entire country for 2025, with indications, as we'll tell you later in the show, some more very soon to follow. And so I think that Michigan has the opportunity to do something hilarious. They do, because there is a possibility, and I'm putting it at 10% likely. I think Ohio State's going to win the game. But there is, what I saw with Northwestern is that Michigan finally has the ability. I know it's against a team that is not going to make a bowl, but they've been playing people tough. And the fact of the matter is, like, a 50 burger is a 50 burger. Michigan hasn't had one of those in a while, right? Even against the cupcakes. So there's hope, but I think it's going to be an uphill battle. And yeah, we start with, as we look at the offense versus defense, which is definitely interesting to look at the NCAA listings on all of these. But obviously, Ohio State's offense has been dealing with some holes, right? McLaughlin goes down at center, replaced by Hinsman. Just some things that they're working on in the line. But you got, JR, you have maybe one of the most explosive wide receivers I've ever seen. Basically, freshman, but still, everybody was like, can he replace Marvin Harrison Jr.? I think that the answer is yes. He's replacing him quite well. But against Michigan's defense, that could be even though Ohio State has the weapons advantage, that line play, what do you think about the line play and overall, but definitely line play? I'm very curious as to your thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be the toughest test that Ohio State's seen all season. Indiana has a good defensive line, but it's nowhere near what you guys have. You guys have two NFL talent. One is a for sure first rounder. The other one, I think, is a first rounder, but I've also seen some other people say maybe not. So, I mean, I think he is. We'll see what happens in Kenneth Grant, but kind of at that point gets to like the scores or whatever at the combine, which, whatever, maybe judge them on the field, not what they do with their numbers. But that's just me personally. But anyway, yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, if this offensive line is going to have a bad day, if it's going to be the Missouri game all over again, we're in trouble. Point blank. If it's going to be the Missouri game all over again, it doesn't matter how good your wide receivers are. It doesn't matter how fast your quarterback is. If Will Howard is living Curtis Rourke's life, just last week, it's not going to be good for him. You have two really good running backs in Quinshon Judkins and Trevion Henderson. They've been hitting the backfield the past 2 weeks a little bit more than maybe I'd like for them to be. Now, they are both very elusive, very strong, so they've been able to get out of some of those tackles and break them and get 5-6 yards, something like that instead. So we are definitely thankful for that. But at the end of the day, if you don't open up the holes and there's no place for those guys to run, you're gonna have to figure something else out. And thankfully, I think Ohio State has the answer to have these long sustaining drives that kind of wears the defense out. I think that the defensive line for the team up north is going to do much better at the beginning of the game. I think the first 2 or 3 drives, you're going to see the offensive line for Ohio State, I wouldn't say struggle, but not win as much as you guys' defensive line does. But I could see toward the second half, toward the end of the first half, maybe some more running lanes open up. Maybe Will Howard has a little bit more time back there to throw the ball. And I think that they'll start going to the screen game a little bit early, just to try and spread things out, just to try and make those guys run a little bit more. Because at the end of the day, like, I know Benny's a pretty good defensive tackle as well, but there's not, at least from what I've seen, you guys might think differently. From what I've seen, there's not much depth behind Benny that's going to come in there and do much better than Graham or Grant. So my opinion is, first 2 or 3 drives, we'll see what happens, but hopefully they'll tire him out after that, and that's what Ohio State's going to have to do.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is the matchup that's going to decide the game. Because if Michigan can exploit, one thing JR didn't really hit on is 2 of their top offensive linemen are going to be out for this game. Is that right? JR?
Yes, McLaughlin and
Right.
Simmons are not coming back all season.
Right. So, this is an opportunity to exploit a weakness with an offensive line that already had its concerns this year, right? So, this is where Michigan can make Will Howard uncomfortable, can get him off rhythm, affect his timing, hopefully limit Ohio State not to 7, but 3 if they do get down the field. Limit drives, get off the field early. If Michigan's going to win this game, this matchup between this offensive and defensive line is going to be the key to that. So I'm excited about that. One of the concerns for me is Will Johnson playing? There's reports he might try to play. There's reports he won't play. So I don't know the answer to that. That's going to matter. Right? I feel better with Will Johnson out there than without Will Johnson out there. So those are the things I'm looking for. I think our linebacker play has been improving by the year. I think, listen, I'll say this too. And Garrison's going to love this. Will Howard's been impressive, man. Like his career completion percentage of what it is this year is at 74%. Like he's really upped his game, man. Like he's really, and I know he's surrounded by a lot of
JJ
talent,
numbers.
Right. He really, yeah. Like when you start touching like 75, you're essentially elite at the college level. 75 or higher is like elite. So, to have 26 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, Will Howard's playing really well. And I'll be real. Going into this year, I was like, he's to me, he was like an above average quarterback who can get you to win. But no, he's playing like one of the top quarterbacks in college football. So, so that's, and then obviously we know the wide receiver situation. They're loaded at running back. So yeah, this is going to be the matchup that I think decides the game. We'll see. Will Johnson can play.
I will say one more thing. The talk has been the 2 new offensive linemen in their spots. Obviously, Donovan Jackson a couple weeks ago moved over to left tackle, and the new left guard Carson Hinsman moved over to center with Seth McLaughlin going down. Austin Seierveld, the left guard, he is actually arguably the strongest player on the entire team with what he's been able to put up in the weight room. So there's actually less concern, at least from me, about Austin Seierveld. The bigger concern most of the season has been the right guard. If you watched against Indiana, he was the one getting pushed back by CJ West more than really anybody else on that offensive line was. So even though we have 2 new guys there on the interior, it's that right guard, Tegre Shabola, who is a man. I mean, he's huge. He can do it. Just every now and then in games, he gets pushed back a little bit too much and, gets put into Quinshawn or Travion's pocket, and they have a hard time running around him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be, I mean, TJ, I think you're spot on, because the other matchup is a complete and total mismatch. And so the defense is really going to need to show up. And yeah, look, I'm not expecting Will Johnson to play. If he does, obviously, let's all have a freaking parade, because he might literally add an entire interception on his own, and really that could be a difference depending on how the turf toe situation's going.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to play. I think he's shown quite a bit already against Marvin Harrison Jr., against Adunze, some of the top wide receivers in the world. And he defended against them pretty well. But if he does show up, if he is able with the turf toe situation to get onto that field, that does change the game a little bit. Go ahead.
Look at the USC game. Look at the USC game. He's the difference in that victory.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And just a couple of super chats real quick. Wolverine Casual says, losing the game last year would have killed me. Oh yeah, it would have killed me too. And it was damn close. Way too close for comfort.
That one, that would have been we would not have lived that one down, because the whole Connor thing going up to it, like that was a serious game, man. We had to win that one.
Absolutely. And Weekly Wax with the 5, as a Michigan fan living in Ohio. Oh, good Lord. That must be rough. It's like the opposite of Sean Garner. It's like reverse Sean Garner. The overall mood of OSU fans here is confident, but extremely nervous. If they lose this somehow, they will implode. I don't know about all that, but I do think Ryan Day feels the pressure a little bit of this game.
Let's ask JR. I mean, so what is your mood going into this game, man?
Yeah.
I'm cautiously confident. I feel like it's going to be a battle the very first quarter, maybe into the second quarter. I think it could be a one-score game at halftime, and then I think, with the way Ohio State's been able to play in the third quarter, they should be able to come out and do much better by then. But it's one of those situations where, if you guys go up 7-0, like Indiana did, I won't like it, but at the same time, I'll be like, okay, this is also kind of what Ohio State has done all season. Their stupid slow starts where they just decide they want to play football after the first quarter, which is annoying to all of us Ohio State fans. But
I bet.
you know what? They've won their game. In the one game where they started out fast, the one game in Oregon where they started out fast, that's the one they lost. So maybe they just need to play 3 quarters from now on. Who knows?
Yeah. Fair.
So let's dive into an incredible mismatch here. So offense, Ohio State offense, Michigan defense, relatively even with some strengths on both sides. This one, on the other hand, holy shit! When I actually saw this, when I saw that Ohio State's defense was number 1 in the country, I was like, in previous years, it might be the other way around. The offense would be number 1 in the country. The defense would be 28th. In this case, it's flipped. And credit to Knowles. Credit to bringing in Caleb Downs and all these others to really solidify it. But Ohio State's going up against a Michigan offense led by Davis Warren, who has been obviously hit up and down, but has had his moments. He giveth and he taketh away. JR, what do you think of this matchup, and how does Ohio State's defense need to neutralize what Michigan does, especially in the run? Because I feel like the run is really where Michigan it can get out with Kalel Mullings and some others. So how could Ohio State's defense match up, you think?
I think Ohio State's defense will be fine for the most part in the run. I think Caleb Downs and Lathan Ransom at their core are both run-stopping safeties. You have Sonny Styles playing much better this season. Cody Simon really become more of the blitzer the past couple weeks, but he's still good and run defense as well. And Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, they're both two guys that, struggle with the speed rush a little bit more than maybe some Ohio State fans would like, but they've been solid in the run game. Really, it's been when quarterbacks can run when Ohio State's had their biggest issues. So that's why early on in the season, I was a little bit more nervous with Alex Orji and the possibility of him playing, but they don't seem to want to let him throw the ball. So not as worried about that as I once was, but I still think Davis Warren, I think he gets a lot of flack for just being like absolutely terrible and outright awful and everybody. I've seen some throws this season from him to make me believe like he could be a competent quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Sharon Moore is a young coach and he had a really tough time with trying to, trust a quarterback for the entire season. So he played Davis Warren. Then he went out with Alex Orji, and then things looked okay with Alex Orji, but then when everybody figured it out, he couldn't go with him anymore. Then he went to Jack Tuttle, and Jack Tuttle, he shows why he's been a career backup his entire, career. And then you go back to Davis Warren, and the offense looks better. So I don't know if it's true that Sharon Moore started calling plays again or not in that Northwestern game. Something changed. I don't know what they did in that bye week, but something changed. And I actually think that third down is going to be the most crucial part in this game because I don't think you need the big, huge runs that you've had the past few years. Like, I don't think you need that this year on offense. What you need is a spectacular performance from your defense, and then you need the offense to be able to stay on schedule. They need to be able to protect Davis Warren well enough, get the ball out of his hands quickly, scheme up some things, and then on third down, you throw the ball to Colston Loveland because Colston Loveland does a really good job of not pushing off, but creating separation for himself. And if he only needs 4 or 5 yards at the most, he can get that separation, and Davis Warren can put it enough in his vicinity to be able to pick up those third downs. That was something that I felt like was really underrated for you guys last year with JJ McCarthy is the play calling on third down. I felt like Sharon Moore did a really good job. JJ McCarthy had a really good handle on what Sharon Moore was calling, and they were able to pick up third downs like crazy. I don't know if I've seen that the entire season this year with Davis Warren, but we saw more of it against Northwestern, which again leads me to believe kind of the rumor going around that Sharon Moore's picked play calling back up. So biggest thing to me is, can they stay on schedule? Can they figure out a way to get in 4th and 3 or 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2 situations so that way they don't have to throw the ball, 10 plus yards? Because I think last game, Davis Warren, even though you guys put up 50 points, I think he only threw the ball 5 times, 10 plus yards. He threw the ball like 30 times, and only 5 of those were 10 plus yards. So it's like, you got to put him in situations where he doesn't have to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think JR just crushed that analysis, by the way. I don't even think there's much to say except big game Don is coming. That's what he does every single time this time of year.
Yeah.
Big game Don's coming. He's hunting for blood. He was getting warmed up against Indiana. He broke off a few large, it's this time of year, bro. There's something about this time of year where he gets into that mode. And here's where I do disagree with it. The only thing in JR's analysis that I disagree with is I think we do need big plays to beat you. I don't know if we can be consistent enough to have sustained drives, because you're right. If our team was capable of doing that, that would be the path to victory. But I think it's going to be similar to the 2022 game where those big plays are what really got us the victory. So hopefully guys can step up, whether it be a Khalil Mullins, a Donovan Edwards, a Colson Loveland, or one of these wide receivers decides to wake up and have a day. Because outside of that, this is obviously, this matchup here is critical. Now, the good news for us is we have a very good kicker who just got disrespected without not being put on the Lou Grozo Award list, which is insane because this is an NFL caliber kicker, whatever. But point is, this matchup, we got to be able to score. We have to get points. If we do not get points, I mean, obviously we know that, but this offense has got to get moving. And then to the Sharon Moore rumor, I don't know. But something was different. That offense was way more fluid. It had way more structure. It was just different. So hopefully, and that's the thing too, Jared. This is one of the things we've been talking about. If there was a moment in the season for us to play you guys, this is the best time for us because there's a lot of momentum with the program. The team actually looks like it's starting to come together. Wink looks like he's figuring it out a little bit. Sharon might be taking over play calling. Davis Warren's looking more comfortable. Some of the players are starting to show development. I mean, so if there's a time for this game, it is this week for us.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm with you on big game Don. I will say he does show up. Santa Claus shows up for Christmas. Given the presents out and everything. And I think that big game Don shows up in November, especially late in November, and in the playoffs. But here's the reality: we don't know yet about Colston Loveland, right? We know that he's uncertain. Sharon Moore said, "Hey, we just listened to the doctors." Do I think that he's going to try to play? Yes.
F that. Give him a shot of the goods. Give him the Toradol. Give him the Toradol.
Give him the Aaron Rodgers juice.
It's too important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would love to see him. And hopefully he's in there because he is a difference maker and the top receiver this year by far as a tight end, which is absolutely crazy. But that's where we're at. So
you guys in Penn State, you guys got the same strategy going on offense.
Hey,
it's just Colston Loveland's not running it out of the shotgun like Tyler Warren is.
Yeah. And I will say when we've speculated, is Sharon Moore calling plays? Is he not? I think that there's quite a bit of evidence that he did, right? And what is my evidence? My evidence is that it looked more balanced. It looked like there was more I formation with Bredesen blocking, which is one of Sharon's favorite things to do. You saw it all the time in 23. He did it again. He was also doing things like those concepts to Tyler Morris to get him more involved in the game than he had been. He likes doing the reverses. He likes doing just little things here and there, pop off the ball over to Tyler Morris. And he had the best game he's had in a while, double his usual productivity. So is there hope? Of course there's hope. But yeah, watch out on this one because Ohio State's defense might feast if we're not careful. So keys to the game. So I'm going to ask this. I always ask this to everybody, regardless of who's a dog, who's not. And especially with a rivalry game, you throw the book out, right? Yeah, Ohio State's a 20.5 favorite. but we've seen years where Michigan finds a way, and also vice versa. So anything can happen in this game. JR, what do you think the keys need to be for Ohio State to win at Columbus?
Yeah, I think it goes kind of what I was saying with the offense. They got to tire out Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham. They can't allow them to be the run stoppers they are the entire game, whether that's throwing screen passes to get them on the outside more or, having long sustaining drives that keeps them in for the entire game. I would love to see Ohio State run some tempo in this game to keep them in the game when they're moving the ball. I don't know if they'll do that. Ryan Day doesn't seem to want to do that. He wants to only get like 50 or 60 plays a game right now, which is kind of, maddening to me. But I think they need to do that. I think special teams needs to have another big play of some kind in this game just to make everybody feel better and kind of get that juice in the stadium. There were players commenting that the Caleb Downs punt return was the loudest they've ever heard the stadium be. There were fans that were commenting that was the loudest they had ever heard the stadium be. So if there can be something like that, that's going to be imperative for that to happen. And then the blitz packages have to work for Ohio State. They cannot afford to blitz, 8 men and put their DBs out on an island. And then, who was it? Johnson in 2022, where he spins out of it to, I don't even remember who that DB was, but he spins out of it and then he takes it 60, 50 yards, however far that was. That kind of stuff was just happening too much. Now, I think that we have much better DBs now than we used to, so I feel more confident in that. But you have to figure out a way. You can't just throw 8 guys in the backfield. You have to figure out a way to blitz guys, but also drop other guys back in coverage so that way you have some safety back there. And it's going to be imperative that Jim Knowles finds a way for that to work. But I think you guys' offensive line is still well coached. I think that it's been kind of a process going throughout the year. So a big thing is, can we get you guys to have to use that silent cadence like we made Indiana do that? If that happens again, I really like Ohio State's chances, especially on defense. I really like them looking for that cue of when the ball is about to be snapped, and then they get into their blitzing formation and go. But if there's a clap or anything like that, it's going to be harder to do that. So we'll see if the fans bring it or not.
Yeah. So my keys to the game are we got to pressure Will Howard. If we do not pressure Will Howard, it doesn't matter. The defense has got to get to Will Howard to get him uncomfortable. Also, the other key to the game here is you got to hold him to 3. It cannot get 7. I don't have the confidence in our offense to be able to I definitely don't have confidence in this offense to go toe to toe with Ohio State. But to win this game, you have to hold them to 3 and not go and get 7. And then why, like I stated, I don't have confidence in the offense going toe to toe. But if we win the turnover battle, we don't have to go toe to toe. We'll have more possessions then. And this is how we can take the advantage. So pressure Will Howard, hold them to 3, win the turnover battle. That is the key to victory.
Yeah. Winning the turnover battle is huge. Especially with some of the mismatches that are going into the game. Will Johnson playing would be absolutely amazing. But even players like Amir Hall, you've seen break out recently with an interception. You see, I think Zeke Berry's had some good moments, Hausman, things like that. So I think if Wink continues to make good decisions as he did last week, and Sharon Moore calls the plays, Michigan can pull it off. Obviously, for Ohio State to win, Chip Kelly needs to play call around the line issues, and I could see some Will Howard running some RPOs. I could see him using his legs because people need to realize that he is a threat to run the ball. He may not be Lamar Jackson, but he's a threat to run the ball, and you got to account for it every single play, right? So I think if Wink is able to account for all that, and a little bit of luck goes Michigan's way, then Michigan could pull it out. But luck is going to be needed. And so with that said, prediction time. JR, who you got? Who's winning this and what score?
Yeah, I think I know. You guys know who I got. I got Ohio State in this one. I'm going to predict that Ohio State, and this is not to be disrespectful at all, but this is just my
It
honest
sounds
thought.
disrespectful.
I
See,
know,
whenever
right?
someone says it's not to
It's
be
gonna be.
disrespectful,
It's gonna be
it's
a
about to be
blowout.
it's about to be pretty damn disrespectful. I can
And I'm
feel
not
it.
trying to be, but if you guys take it that way, I'm not going to apologize too much. I'm going to predict Ohio State wins this one 35-9.
35-9.
Yep.
So we don't get one touchdown, huh?
I don't think so.
The
Or
disrespect.
well, we can get a touchdown and a safety. There you go.
Sure.
There you go. There you go. All right. So I don't mean to be disrespectful to our Buckeyes.
Yes, you do.
I got the score 34-17 Buckeyes.
Yeah.
F you guys. We don't like you. Hopefully we get the dub.
Yeah. Weekly Wax podcast. Sounds like he's predicting the win here. $1 for each win in a row come Saturday. Love that. Love Michael Jones giving a super sticker as well. My prediction, and everybody can put their prediction in chat here, and we'll spotlight some of your predictions as well. I'm going to predict Ohio State wins in Columbus 34-21. However, I was saying in the Mark Rogers chat a couple hours ago, I was like, I got about 10% that things might go crazy. The temperature is supposedly going to be in the 20s, which if there's snow, hey, it could be 2021. You never know. You never know. Anything could happen. But I do have 34-21 right now, Ohio State. So with that said, and let's see what everybody else has. 35-13. I'm assuming that's Ohio. Ruckman, 84-10 Michigan. Very exciting. Very strong.
Right. That's a lot of field goals.
Very strong.
I know Zavada's good, but man.
He's good. He's good, dude.
Newber, we got 31-28. Account 22, 24-20. Bleeding Blue, 28-24. So very exciting. Some people sticking by the maize and blue. And look, like I said, anything can happen. But JR, I know you've got to go soon to do your stuff. But let everybody know where they can find you. Final thought, and where they can find you everywhere.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, JRS_rankings over there. I don't get too much into the beef on Twitter just because I don't really have time for it. But every now and then, if you
you take your shots, JR.
I was gonna say every now and then, if I'm feeling a little feisty, I might get into it and I might respond back. So we'll see. But I'm definitely no Garrison. He can wear the crown on that one for sure.
Who is?
You can also find me over on the Ohio State channel, do recruiting videos over there. So if you ever want to find out who I think Ohio State's going to get, sure, come on over. Would love to have you. And then the Big Ten Huddle, football and basketball over there. I actually have been covering you guys quite a bit in basketball just because my schedule's worked out to where they've been playing a good team. They played TCU that one night. They played Virginia Tech the other night. So I've actually been doing some videos about them here recently. But
what do you think about what do you think about the basketball team?
I think the basketball team has potential. I think that Dusty May's getting it together. I would like to see Danny Wolf handling the ball a little less. I think Trey Donaldson is much better. But Dusty's a good coach. He's learning and growing, and I think the team will look better by the end of the season. Not that they look bad now, but they'll just look better.
Definitely better than the Juwan era already.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Already.
There we go. Well, JR, thanks so much for stopping by. I'll let you go prep for your next thing. But go Blue, beat Ohio.
Yeah,
thanks for coming on, JR.
See ya. OH.
NO.